Hey, this is Jason Kleberg from the Force 5 podcast, a show that forces a guest to come up with a movie-themed top 5 list topic, and then we reveal our picks on air. Top 5 heist films, top 5 tearjerkers, top 5 movie dogs. Every show you'll be asking yourself, what would be on my list? Guests include directors, screenwriters, actors, podcasters, musicians, authors, and even a professional wrestler. Subscribe to the Force 5 podcast, and you won't just be a listener, you'll be a list nerd. The Force 5 podcast, available wherever you're listening now.
Have you ever wanted to dive deeper into the horror movies you love? Beyond the Blood is a horror podcast for fans who want more than just surface-level screams. We do deep dives into the movies that shaped us, digging into director commentaries, behind-the-scenes stories, deleted scenes, and the special features that most people skip. Each episode is a love letter to the genre. We break down how these films were made, the creative risks that paid off or didn't, and the lasting impact they've had on the genre as a whole. From 70s slashers to modern nightmares, we celebrate the craft, chaos, and characters that keep us coming back. If you're the kind of fan who rewatches movies with the commentary on, or you simply grew up in the video store horror aisle, the Beyond the Blood podcast was made for you. New episodes every single week. Subscribe, and let's dig deep. Welcome to the Beyond the Blood podcast.
Hello, Wake Up Heavy listeners, Mark here, and I am excited to say that the Police Squad boys got together a little while ago to record an episode on the new The Naked Gun film, starring Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson, and it is finally available, and we are making it available across all of our shows. If you happen to have missed our little limited series from the files of Police Squad in color, you can catch all of those episodes on weirdingwaymedia.com, and it was nice to dip our toes back into the Police Squad pool as it was. So enjoy.
Comrades of comedy, citizens of cinema, today we march not upon Rome, but upon the silver screen to bear witness to the glorious rebirth of an empire of absurdity. For years, the sacred legacy of Frank Drebin lay in the archives, a relic of slapstick past. But now, under the bold banner of Naked Gun 2025, it returns faster, sharper, and more delirious than ever. We reject the tyranny of seriousness. We crush the dictatorship of dullness. In its place, we raise the banner of pratfalls, wordplay, and sight gags so powerful they shall echo across the ages. Let the weak-hearted critics tremble. Let the humorless flee. The people demand chaos, banana peels, and exploding cufflinks, and we shall deliver them with the relentless force of 1,000 punchlines. Comedy forever. Drebin forever. Viva il Naked Gun. Yeah, I'm Mike White, and welcome to From the Files of Police Squad in color. And I am joined, of course, by Mr. Chris Dashu.
Wow, Mike. That was horrifying and informative at the same time.
That was amazing, actually.
Pretty proud of myself. Just coming up with that off the exploding cufflink, as it were. Yeah.
No notes, no nothing.
Nothing. Also with us is Mr. Mark Begley.
UCLA?
I see it every day.
You can't fight City Hall, Mark. I know it's a big building.
Yes, we're back rejoining the discussion of Zucker Abrams Zucker films, specifically those around the Police Squad series, and coming back with Naked Gun 2025, aka Naked Gun 4. I think I'm the only person that calls it Naked Gun 4. Otherwise, it gets very confusing. Or you could call it The Naked Gun, which I think it is actually The Naked Gun.
It is titled
like The Suicide Squad.
Yes, like The Suicide Squad. Were the other ones The Naked Guns as well? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought that was the distinction, and then I looked, and I'm like, oh no, it was
they're all
that.
It was The Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad, The Naked Gun 2.5, and then Naked Gun 33 1/3.
And there was no joke name that they're going for, even though apparently in the past there were joke names for this, including Naked Gun 4 Nordberg Did It. One little joke, just one little nod there to O.J. Simpson. That was pretty good.
I'm glad they stuck with just the one joke.
They had been talking about doing this film for a while, apparently, even having a made-for-TV version of it, which would have been interesting where it was Leslie Nielsen kind of passing the torch over to somebody else. I don't think it would have been Liam Neeson at the time. There were talks about also in the past having Ed Helms, who we were just talking about recently, right?
That would not have worked.
No, you need somebody very serious in a role like this.
I think that one of the smartest things about this movie is the casting of Liam Neeson, because he's and Pamela Anderson are really good together, and they might be fucking in real life. I actually think they are. They very well might.
Something definitely happened on set.
Natasha Richardson's sister has something to say about that, screams the headlines. Who gives a shit?
Hey, they're happy. That's all that matters.
Natasha Richardson ate it like 20 years ago.
I thought he had their blessing. That's what I've been reading.
What, does he need Tommy Lee's blessing too?
Yeah, he's going to get donked with his...
All right, this is a big ween.
Bonk, you're okay.
By the way, we will be spoiling things as if you can spoil a movie like this, but that also means talking about a lot of the punchlines and some of the things that you're actually paying money to go to a theater to see. Though I will admit, when I saw this at the theater yesterday, it was one of those like 25 seaters, and there were maybe like 6 people in there. So I don't think this is going to be at the theater too much longer. I imagine this will be probably streaming by the time this episode comes out.
My little insular world of Twitter, everybody was going crazy about it. So I thought it was doing gangbusters and dumb comedies back and all that crap. I don't know. Maybe it isn't.
I don't know. I actually had a fair amount of people that told me that they went and saw this movie in theaters. I don't know. The movie seemed to do rather well. It seemed to have made its money back already. So I think we're like 2 weeks removed from the movie coming out.
There's that massive drop off even just on the second week. It's almost rare for a movie to make as much, if not more, the second week. It just right down the cliff.
And it's not a Marvel movie. I think the only way additional people are going to go see a movie like this is word of mouth, not like curb appeals. Not
a Marvel movie, though. Wolverine reunion here with Danny Houston and Kevin Durant, the Blob, and
who's playing like William Stryker?
Stryker, yes, yeah, Stryker, aka Sally Decker. I have a few complaints about this movie. One of those complaints is Danny Houston and Liam Neeson speaking to each other. It sounds like it's the same person talking to themselves.
Okay, I wasn't the only one. Who's saying what line now?
Danny Houston really starting to sound a lot like his dad. And I think that if he wanted to just push just a little bit, he could do the John Huston voice impeccably.
Oh, I'm sure he does. He probably does it all the time.
I'm sure like he's voiced his character, his dad in different things like documentaries or something. Yeah, he does a great job. And Danny Houston, fucking hilarious guy. And Liam Neeson, fucking hilarious guy. And I love that they use Neeson's very cold, calculating, taken type persona so much of this time, where it's like growling out these lines, and having the voiceover was very smart as well. Of course, we know that Frank Drebin had a voiceover, so giving it to Liam Neeson here, I thought was very smart.
I enjoyed it. I guess in that insular world I live in, it got a little overhyped. So I was like, ooh. Joke a second. And it wasn't as jam-packed as the Naked Gun movies where you watch it 5 times because you've missed 19 different things going on. It's not quite like that. And I don't think there were nearly as many, or I didn't notice a lot of that background foreground. Something serious was happening in the foreground. There was a joke going on in the background. That didn't seem to be happening. Not that they need to follow the blueprint of those movies or of ZAZ movies to a T, which I'm sure they didn't want to do, but it seemed a lot tamer as far as gags a second to me. And I didn't know if that was just me missing everything or if that's how the movie was.
You didn't miss anything. It is very much one layer of jokes. The closest they get to multiple layers, they really hand you what's happening on that second layer. Like, I think of when they're walking through Police Squad after CCH Pounder yells, "It's a new day at Police Squad." And then they cut to a guy getting his mugshot taken, and there's like a wind machine, and the photographer's very much a fashion photographer. And then we have Frank and Ed, Paul Walter Hauser. I guess it's the summer of Paul Walter Hauser between this and Fantastic Four coming out within a few weeks. And them walking and talking. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that was very obvious what that joke was. There's not a lot of stuff going on in the background. I was definitely paying attention to that, trying to be like, okay, is there something funny else other than what's happening here? And yeah, the jokes per second, jokes per minute, jokes per maybe 5 minutes. There were a few times, especially at the beginning, where I was laughing out loud quite a bit. I loved little things like him putting on the rubber glove and then reaching in with the hand without the glove into the crashed car, some of the sight gags and everything. But yeah, it felt like it was one layer of jokes happening at all times.
Which is maybe better for a modern audience, I hate to say. You have to direct everything to modern audience that can't keep up with stuff. But I felt like, okay, I don't want to have to pay attention to every little corner of the screen and feel dumb for missing something, because watching it knowing we're going to talk about it is a little bit different than just watching it for enjoyments. I did notice the beaver, though, because that was very subtle to put a pin on it.
I felt that there was a lot more absurdist stuff, like when Frank goes to the club that Danny Houston owns, or sorry, it's more the event that he's doing. And there are all those posters like delivery and this and that, and then pumpkins, like him standing in a field with a bunch of pumpkins. It's like, okay, yeah, that was funny. Just absurd kind of stuff. And I was expecting a little bit more out of the screenwriters for this, because I really like the Chip and Dale movie that they did together, Dan Gregor and Doug Mand. I'm not that familiar with Akiva Schaffer, though, and I don't know if...
Part of the Lonely Island.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's right. Thank you.
Where he's the guy in the Lonely Island with the facial hair is essentially the best way of putting it.
I know I saw Popstar Never Stopping. And of course, I've seen Threw It on the Ground, though I really feel that skit kind of takes a shit at the end when they get to the Hollywood phonies part. But okay, yeah, he's got some good comedy chops on.
I'm on a boat.
And then, of course, he also directed Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Got the whole gang back here again.
No Andy Samberg, though.
No, but I meant as far as that Rescue Rangers thing.
I enjoyed this movie a fair amount. I think it's a pretty worthy successor to what this franchise could be. I think it's also a rather interesting entry into the franchise, given what it has to be now, given the environment that this movie has come out into. Because there's parts of this movie that are aping action movies that were not... this movie apes action movies at times, which Naked Gun didn't really do back in the day. And this is existing in a post-John Wick, post-Taken world. That's the thing that I feel like is even more on the nose and even funnier, is putting Liam Neeson in this movie, given that he is actually an action star. Leslie Nielsen was just an actor, but he was not an action star, and he wasn't an action actor. And they didn't expect that of him in the Naked Gun movies, but in this, it's almost like you expect it part and parcel with Liam Neeson being cast in the movie. And that, for me, is, I think, one of the smartest things about this movie is it does understand the world that it exists within now, and it's not fighting it. It's not trying to exist in another time and place. This is a Naked Gun movie made in 2025, for good and for bad in a lot of ways. Like, the main villain being essentially an Elon Musk type, like a little bit on the nose, but not in a bad way. Like, I almost think like there's no other way to make this movie other than to address it head on.
That was my one complaint. I assumed, since one of his big things is electric cars, that this is an Elon Musk rip, but he's not weird enough. I wanted him to be weird. Once I sussed that out, I'm like, oh, electric car guy. Okay, Elon Musk. He should have been an absolute weirdo.
I mean, he does like the Black Eyed Peas.
His plot, his world domination plot should have been more bizarre, not just plot device. It's making people regress to a prehistoric rage or whatever. It should have been really fucking weird. Let's make this guy weird. Not just that he's panning his balls or whatever he's doing with that machine. Like, make him really fucking weird.
That's based off of some of that weirdo bro shit, isn't it? Like that men are becoming too feminized, and the way to not do that is to put like a red light on your ball sack or some shit. Like I've heard that in those like fucking Alex Jones, Joe
Manosphere,
Rogan.
baby.
Yeah, the manosphere. Jesus fucking Christ.
So can you use red light therapy on your testes? You may have seen a very popular article from Ben Greenfield. It was in Men's Health, where he spoke about tripling his testosterone levels by shining a red light on his testes. Now, in this video, we want to discuss whether or not that is a good idea and whether it's safe to aim a red light therapy device in that area.
It just made me think of that guy that keeps replenishing his blood or whatever to stay, or he's like, I think he has transfusions with his young son, and he's supposed to, I don't know what his name is or anything, but they always show pictures of him. Can you believe this man is 47? And I'm like, he looks worse than I do, and I'm 56. What are you talking about? It's like a fucking corpse.
I have to admit that I was very confused during the scene where they're showing Frank his electric car. They gift, I guess you can just get gifts from billionaires gifting to the police department, which is absolutely fine, especially in 2025. The guy who shows him what his car looks like, who's basically I can't remember. I want to say Ted, but that's not right. But anyway, honestly, when I saw him in the trailers, I thought he was Corey Feldman. Chase Steven Anderson, you, sir, can be in the Corey Feldman story because you can pull that look off. So maybe think about doing that, because even as I'm watching it in the theater, I'm like, holy fuck, does he look like Corey Feldman?
It is Ted, by the way.
Oh, okay, good.
In the first movie, yeah. He does look Feldman-esque.
The lab tech guy, is that who we're talking about here? Yeah. I wanted a little more from him. A little more weirdness, too, because that guy was always weird.
Oh, yeah, especially when they would come in and he'd be talking with children and stuff. Like,
why don't you run along now, Katie? And next week I'll show you why women can't play professional football.
Yeah, the jokes felt kind of tame. They didn't feel really like, ooh, wow, you just went there. Wow.
It goes there a couple times, but it doesn't go there enough. There are gags that go on for way too long, and there are gags that I wish they would mine a little bit more. And I'm sure that there is a version of this movie where there's alternate takes of scenes. There may not be a whole plethora of deleted scenes, but there definitely are alternate takes of scenes. There have to be.
Yeah, the really only part that was gag a second was that opening in the bank where you have multiple gun gags. And I loved the part when he picked up the guy to use as a shield and it was an obvious dummy. That was that was actually probably my biggest laugh of the whole movie, honestly. It was more chuckles and ahahas throughout. It wasn't laugh a second for me, I guess, is my overall feeling on it. And not that all of the Naked Gun movies are, but it feels like there's a little bit more to go back to. And for this one, I don't know how much I'm going to be going back to it.
It's that thing that we were talking about where who's in on the joke, right? It's that whole Frank Drebin is a complete moron and walks through the world with no one really questioning it. And every once in a while, you'll get somebody who questions it. Even like Nancy Marchand was just like, would roll her eyes at times. But here, there are times where he gets away with that, where he just says stupid stuff and nobody calls him on it. But then there are other times where they do call him on it. Like when he comes in and he says to Busta Rhymes, 20 years for manslaughter. That must have been one hell of a joke. And then he's like, you mean manslaughter? And he's like, oh, yeah. And then puts the file down. I'm like, no, don't call him on it. Just let it go. Like, and then take that and make it worse. Do one more on top of that. Yeah. I like the whole bit of the montage of the body cam stuff or the police cam, though they had way too many angles for that footage, I felt.
Let's not cinema sins this movie. I think that every time that there's footage, oh man, who was directing this thing? Who was directing all that footage? Okay, camera 2, camera 3.
I guess when it comes to the, oh, they went there thing, the first joke that comes to my mind is when he goes into the bar, the Silver Tiger or the Bengal Club or whatever that is, and there's that bartender that he talks to.
Played by Cody Rhodes, the wrestler of all people.
Does a great job, I felt.
He's talented. It's just random.
You don't remember me, do you?
Should I?
My brother. You shot him in the name of justice.
That could literally be thousands of people.
Shot him in the back as he ran away.
Hundreds.
Unarmed.
At least 50.
He was white.
So you're Tony Royland's brother.
That was pretty good. Could have used a little bit more of that commentary throughout.
The surprise they don't, but at the same time, I'm glad they didn't because I don't know. I don't know if I needed it in my Naked Gun movie.
They are playing cops. The propaganda in 2025 doesn't really fly. So they did it in, gosh, I can't remember. I think it was one of the movies, beating the people and like just randomly beating people of color in one of the films, just because that's what the cops do. And they did it back in the late 80s, early 90s because of the Rodney King stuff. So they could have done it here.
One joke I felt went way too long was the crab people joke.
When the founding fathers created this country, they sat in a room like this, filled with men like us, and birthed an empire.
The USA.
Yes, that's right. But as years went by, other people wanted to get into that room.
Fish people.
What?
Fish people. Gills on their necks.
I don't.
Like mermen and merwomen.
Mermaids.
Right.
No, stop. Not fish people, ungrateful people. People that did not earn their seat at the table. People not built like the men in this room.
Crab hands. They had crab hands instead of fingers.
Stop! I know what I mean. So just let me do the talking.
This is a crab hand person.
I've met him.
Put the phone away.
That was one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
I think had they gone farther with it and had everyone on that board believing in crab people or something, I thought that would have been a little bit better. But instead, it was just those two guys going back and forth. I'm just like, drop it. Just drop it. Come on, let's go. Just felt like it lasted like 2 beats too long.
I always attribute it to Austin Powers, where you just keep going until it's not funny anymore, and then it comes back around to being absurd, and then it's funny again. And that's another thing that I felt was missing from this, but wasn't unhappy that it was missing from this, because that does get old. I didn't really feel it for this. Like, I'm sitting here listening to you on my crab people joke. What is he talking? Like, I totally forgot about it. But yeah, would it have been more memorable to me if it had been done ad nauseum or come back up later in the movie or something?
It does come back one more time. Yeah. At the very end when Weird Al, and I hope that was part of the version that you saw, because I know sometimes credits get cut off, but at the very end, Weird Al comes back and he's playing at the Giggle Bunker Room, and it's just him with a whole bunch of empty tables. And he's like, hello, anybody? Crazy billionaires? Crab people?
I'm glad that Weird Al was in the movie again. Got to keep that streak going.
And yeah, I kind of wish that board of directors would have been either this guy is crazy or we are way more evil than he is, even, just to really put that whole bunch of rich white people, even though they weren't all white people, bunch of rich older people all on the board at the same time. Sometimes Kevin Durant gives like little looks where he's like, I'm not really sure about this guy, but never really comes back.
Speaking of Austin Powers, they cop directly from Austin Powers with the dog gag, where it looks like they're having sex with his dog.
Yeah, that whole kitchen scene, I was like, this was done. And whichever one of those with Heather Graham and him in the tent.
They do it twice in that movie, too.
Like the fruit stuff with him and Vanessa.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Or, sorry, food stuff. It's not just fruit.
The scene with the snowman, which is effectively the Naked Gun from the first movie. There's that, like, it's essentially like a music video.
Yeah, it's that montage. Something tells me I'm into something good. Yeah.
The Hermits.
Yeah, it's like a mini movie.
I feel like if they had given the movie the rest of that energy, like, I enjoyed this movie immensely. I think I probably maybe even enjoyed it more than both of y'all. I will say, though, like, I think if the movie, to Mike's point and Mark's point as well, I think if the movie had been more absurd, I think it would have checked more boxes for me. And I think it goes there. But having rewatched all three of the original Naked Gun movies to prepare for this episode, like, they are a little bit more absurd. It's not like terribly so. I'm not saying that this movie is like, this is the most straightforward comedy I've ever seen, but like, there are parts of this movie that don't go far enough, and there are parts of this movie that really hold back, and I don't know why. I guess, is it like, and that's the other thing, I guess, did this movie need to be R? Is that what it is? In this day and age, did this movie have to be R? It's not R. It's PG-13.
Okay.
So you're asking, should we have gone farther? Should we have made this an R rating?
I mean,
where were the bear boobs? Come on. No bear boobs in this movie.
I don't know if I want to see a bear. I don't know if I want to see a bear's boobs, Mike.
They have a whole line of them. It's usually about 8 or so.
So many teats.
None of the Naked Gun films were any higher than a PG-13, I'm sure. So they're keeping it with that.
But did that need to be something that they kept to, is my point.
You want dumb teen boys going to see your movie. So, or boys that appreciate dumb humor, or girls, teens that appreciate dumb humor going to your movie. Maybe those teens don't exist. I don't know.
From what I hear, the new generation is afraid of sex. So I guess no bear boobs for them then. Pamela Anderson
is really good in this movie.
She is amazing. Her scat scene is, speaking of rated R, but that is fucking amazing. I saw a clip on Instagram the other day where they weren't cutting between her and what Liam Neeson was up to, and it was just her doing the scatting. It was fucking amazing. It was before I saw the movie, and I'm just like, what the hell is this? This is great.
That was a perfect little Naked Gun Police Squad-esque interlude there, that ridiculousness. It actually made me think of that. Was it the last episode or one of the last episodes of the show when he's up performing? Is not nearly as funny as this scene in that film, but I was looking for anything to call back to the show or to the movies. They don't do a ton of it. The self-driving car worked because of the way they would always shoot the driving scenes in Police Squad and Naked Gun. So I thought that was nice. That was a nice touch. And since it's topical and now it seemed to work okay. He hits a biker. I'm sure that was done in one of the movies or the show.
He hits a person multiple times.
No parking though. No trouble parking. I don't recall.
No hitting of garbage cans. Yeah. He does go through that police line, but that was one of the things where one of the policemen actually reacts, and it was like, should he have reacted or should he have just taken that as a normal thing?
I don't like, and I know I talked about this on those podcasts about the movies and stuff, when people would make the face, you just got to let it go. And you mentioned it earlier in regard to a scene in this film, just let it slide. Don't acknowledge it. The joke is for us. It should be. And I think of Airplane when I think of that, where the joke is for us and we don't get all those glances. Well, we get a few. I shouldn't say that, but just let the joke go. The character doesn't need to respond to the stupid comment.
Yeah, you get a few of those fourth wall breaks too, which I always appreciated, like when Ted Stryker would look at the camera and be like, what would you do kind of thing. And we get a few of those where Drebin will break that fourth wall and look straight at us and talk to us as the audience. And even especially at the end, when we do the freeze frame gag a little bit differently than we've seen it done before, but him actually seeing the camera and coming and approaching us, I thought was a good gag. And I was glad that they carried through on the freeze frame thing.
Well, they did a little bit of a vacation gag, one of the films that we talked about recently, where, in that film, they put a pin on that this is a sequel to a beloved franchise, but this one's going to be very different. And
I want to be the same as you, Daddy, but
the new one, the Naked Gun, the new one.
They do the same thing here.
I like the fight that he has in Club Bengal with all the computer guys behind the scenes, and especially when he's taking numbers. They've got the little ticker tape thing, and he just keeps punching people out, or when he rips the guy's arms off of him and starts smacking him with. Those are pretty good. And I like just seeing, what a badass. You hired Liam Neeson. Let's use him for this way.
I think one of my favorite jokes in the movie is it's a callback to another joke from National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon. So in that movie, there's a scene where they go looking for the Emilio Estevez character, and they think they find his trailer on the beach. And so the bad guys light it up. And then it turns out it's just, I believe it's supposed to be John McClane, but it is Bruce Willis. And he's just like, wrong trailer. Sorry. It's great. And you have Bruce Willis in the movie for all of 30 seconds. You make the most of it, and it really works. I think for me, one of my favorite gags in this entire movie is at the end when all of a sudden you just stop hearing Liam Neeson's voice and it's just Dave Bautista.
I saw him in the credits and I'm like, when is Dave Bautista going to show up? Is he one of the henchmen? What's going on here? And then, oh, okay.
Having him show up as just Frank Drebin because Liam Neeson is apparently in the bathroom. Liam Neeson, the actor, is in the bathroom. Is, I think, for me, one of the funniest gags in the entire movie.
I like that a lot. I also like CCH Pounder with her sleeping husband.
Yes.
Where she's like, get me Drebin. And then he's in the bedroom. And just he has this very important presentation tomorrow, and he's going to get passed over by this person again, even though he trained him. And I'm like, that's really good. I like this whole thing. And then that they show up later on with the sleep mask on still. And then the great news at the very end, it's one of those, we found gold and oil and your stocks went up kind of thing. It's, and you got the promotion. Yay. Those are the things I like the most, are the continuous jokes where we just go back to that time and again. It's just give us a whole bunch of those types of things, like the whole thing with the coffee. I love the coffee bit. Though with that, I kept thinking of fucking Beetlejuice and the Willem Dafoe character. That whole thing of that weird subplot in Beetlejuice of the cop movie inside of there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, I just saw that recently.
Wolf Jackson, Afterlife, Crime Units.
Let me take a wild stab. Actor.
Not just any actor. I've done it all. For 6 movies and a reboot, I became Frank Hardballer. Doing my own stunts was non-negotiable. You know why?
Authenticity.
Correct. A vice cop doesn't get to a perp store and then call for some ham-bone stuntman to break it down. Neither did I. You gotta keep it real.
I completely forgot about that movie.
Speaking of legacy
I think this was much more successful than Beetlejuice. And this is probably up there with an Axel F for me.
I would agree.
Yeah, it didn't have 20 plot threads to weave through.
Yeah, if anything, they kept it pretty straightforward with this whole mystery of the dead brother and the sister trying to help, and even throwing in the things like her true crime novels based on stories that she makes up.
Yeah, that was good. Isn't that just fiction?
What about Liam Neeson and his TiVo?
That's my TiVo that I lent you yesterday so that you could watch season 1 of Buffy, so that you could start getting my references.
I know that, Frank.
And I specifically told you not to plug it into the internet.
Oh.
Oh, That's an Ethernet cord going from my TiVo directly into your router, where the internet comes from.
I was just trying to plug it into the electricity.
And now they might be expired. That means gone. No musical special. No Xander. No Spike. No Cordelia Chase. No Daniel Osborne. No Willow meets her doppelganger episode. Nothing.
Sorry, I didn't know they were so...
What was the other thing that he...
Yeah, the Miranda rights.
Oh,
yes.
Sex in the City, yeah.
I love that. No, Carrie writes. It took me a second for me to get what he was doing.
Yeah, I'm like, what is he talking about? My wife and daughter have been going through that series, and that is probably the only reason I recognize the names finally at the end. And Samantha Zohar.
Yeah, because as soon as he said Carrie writes, I'm like, what? And then he had to get to like the Cynthia Nixon character before I was like, oh, now I got it.
I also really like Kevin Durand in the. This isn't my normal car. This isn't the way I normally fall asleep. There's some really funny moments in this movie. Like, I would put this movie above. I think I might put this movie above the third Naked Gun, and I think it's as good as the second Naked Gun. Even though I do think the second Naked Gun, in a lot of ways, is almost as good as the first one, because the second one has some of my favorite gags, like I've been swimming in raw sewage all day. I love it. That's for me. Like, the second movie has a lot of like follow through gags that the first movie doesn't have. The second movie has those, like the gag with the zoo and the animals and the lion getting Robert Goulet at the end of the movie. And that's like halfway through the movie, they introduce that like reoccurring bit. Like, I think this movie is as good as the second Naked Gun. I think it's a good starting place too for the future of a franchise, which is weird to say because I can't imagine they're going to just do one of these movies at this point.
I hope that they do more. And yeah, I hope if anything, they do try to pick up on that. Let's do multiple layers of comedy thing. We saw, it wasn't just Ken Finkelman. It was some of the writers from The Simpsons as well. We've seen that you can do it. It doesn't have to be just a ZAZ thing. If you do it wrong, it looks horrible. And it's just a miserable experience. But at least I will say they didn't do it wrong. They did not do comedy wrong by this. Like things like
Epic movie.
I was thinking of gags like him coming in and stepping in the blood and seeing the knife that says "pick me up" and
that is one of my favorite also gags in the whole.
Love that whole thing.
I did it
right. And then when he picks up the corpse and it hits the ceiling fan and he's just there with the headless corpse when the cops come in and does flips out the window. I thought that was great. I was like, yeah, this is the Naked Gun that I know.
There's a little Texas switch in this movie, which I appreciate. I honestly think this movie really shines when they just let Liam Neeson talk and be fucking weird. Like when he's talking to Kevin Durand in that scene where they're trying to get the confession out of him, he's like, you're going to be a pretty boy in prison. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, and it just keeps going and it just keeps going. And I don't think there's not enough of that in the movie. Like, I think in a lot of ways, the movie also plays it safe in a way that I don't think if there's a second one, I don't think the second one will play it as safe as this first one. But I think this first one had to play it safe because again, like I think we already alluded to it. They are trying to get as many people in the door as possible. Like normal people that wouldn't be going out of their way to watch movies or going to see this kind of movie in theaters. And like, I do miss going to see this kind of movie in theaters because there's something to be said for like this movie in a theater, shared experience, everybody laughing and having a good time. Like this is a lost experience in this day and age.
I'm trying to think the last comedy I saw in the theater, and it takes a lot. They definitely do a very solid job with this. There are moments to me of absolute brilliance, like when he's trapped in the electric car and he busts out the windshield and he runs into the clown with the balloons and then the guys carrying the bees and then the guys carrying a windshield that just pops right back into place. I love it. I think I agree with you, Mark, that the villain should have been a little bit more, that it should have been a little bit crazier when it comes to that.
More eccentric, like, you know.
Yes, eccentric, definitely.
I saw his face. I don't know that I knew Danny Houston was in this before I watched it. And when I saw him, I thought, oh, he's going to be that guy. He's been playing this guy for a while. I mean, he basically plays this in a much smaller role in Game Night and big, wealthy. And he's probably weirder in that, actually, having Fight Club in his mansion, but it's almost typecasting. And then the reference to Musk, I thought, oh, he's going to be weird. And they never got super weird with him. And I, for me personally, would have appreciated his ideas just being absolutely wacko, or show him stealing everybody's ideas.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Here's a brand new thing that I came up with, and just have it be something that everyone already has. Here's a pet rock, or here's a Rubik's Cube, or something like that. Maybe just an inventor of really stupid gadget type of things.
Yeah. Or all the bored people going, that was Bob's idea. The plot device was Billy's idea. What are you talking about?
I love some of those stupid things too, like when he's got the injury, which I don't really recall him getting an injury, but when he gets an injury and goes over to Pam Anderson's house and she pours the vodka on it, and then she proceeds to make an entire Bloody Mary
on his arm, yeah.
And then like has the piece of celery, and I'm just like, I want to see her wrap the celery in the ace bandage kind of thing and have him carrying that for the rest of the movie. Yeah, there are some very funny bits in here. And yeah, I feel that it is good first entry and hopefully a new franchise, though Liam Neeson is 10 years older than...
He ain't getting any younger.
Leslie Nielsen was?
Yeah.
He doesn't look it, though. He doesn't look it.
No, he looks great.
Yeah, I said don't pull Cinema Sins out earlier, but I am going to do one, because wouldn't Frank Drebin Jr. be like in his 30s? If we're going canonically with the last film, when they have him years old in that movie.
Mark, if you looked at the IMDb trivia, the source of all knowledge, it says that it must have been
in the known
another
universe.
Yes, another Frank Drebin Jr.
Of course. Yes, from a previous fling.
Did he have to be Frank Drebin Jr.? That's a question. I'm curious. I'm asking y'all, because I think he had to be Frank Drebin in some capacity, either rebooted or his son. But do you guys agree? Like, did he have to be for this to work, or could this have been a reboot?
I think it could have been a reboot just as easily. I think the whole thing of him being Frank Drebin's son and Paul Walter Hauser being Ed's son, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't come into play, though, except for a couple of jokes. For the obvious one of them all kneeling in front of their dad's or mother's pictures in that one scene where the only one O.J. Simpson gag is. But I was thinking the same thing when I was watching it, because I had that stuck in my head that the kid would actually only be 30 or 40 years old. He could be a different kind of relative, a nephew or a long lost son or something, but they don't put too big a point on him being, they don't get into the exploits of Frank Drebin in the movie. You're doing what your dad did and blah, blah. Your dad was a fucking idiot. I think there might be too much outrage if he wasn't Frank Drebin Jr. I don't know, Chris. That's a good question.
I'm glad he didn't dye his hair. I'm glad he didn't have the silver thing, because that would have been way too distracting and just not look good on Liam Neeson, I don't think.
He's already a silver fox without it. He doesn't. I do love that the movie traffics in a little bit of meta real world with Liam Neeson's fat wiener, which is a real thing in real life. Liam Neeson is well known for being well hung. And I love that the movie traffics in that for no reason other than because there are a group of people that know that Liam Neeson has a big wiener. That's literally it. I don't know why else they'd be making that joke for like what seems like quite an extended period of time. They have that guy describing his penis as a loaf of bread with a toupee on, I think, or with an afro is what he says.
With an afro wig. I'm one of the people that was not aware of this rumor, so I had no idea. Had a big schlong. No idea.
Can I say another one of my favorite gags in the movie is playing on, it's Mission Impossible 2, I think, right? Where they've got Dimitri or whatever his name is in the hospital bed, and they're showing him like, here's what happened while you were out. And then they do the same thing with Kevin Durant, where it's we set this fake news report up and this is a few days afterwards. And then, yeah, I completely agree with that whole speech that he gives about how Duran gets out and becomes this Instagram person. And he's the guy who does this, but then there's another guy and he ends up being so depressed. Like, I love that whole rant that he goes on, but then the multiple, did you get that, boys? Kind of thing over and over again with all the walls falling down. I thought that was really good.
Priscilla Presley shows up in the UFC scene.
Oh.
She's a cutaway when they're showing Liam Neeson's blurred penis.
Oh, wow. Okay.
She's the cutaway that they show of her watching the television and watching.
Oh,
that's what it is.
Okay. Yeah. I noticed that they did the cutaway. I didn't recognize her. I didn't get like the whole UFC thing very well. Like if there are things in there that I'm supposed to know about these fighters or whatever.
There's some UFC like personalities are in the are on commentary. Like Michael Bisping is one of the people that's doing commentary, and he's a real fighter. I'm actually, you know what? Because I don't think either one of y'all have watched it, but I have, so I can mention it. I'm glad that this wasn't a cameo fest, because Happy Gilmore 2 was like a massive cameo fest to the point where it's like distracting. And I didn't dislike that movie. I actually enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. But the thing I disliked about it was how much of it was just like cameo after cameo, to the point where it's like it almost feels like the movie has nothing else going for it at times other than just like, look at all these people that Adam Sandler is friends with. And I'm glad that this movie doesn't traffic in like cameo after cameo, because that's not what this franchise was about. We got the Weird Al cameo in the first movie, and then in the second movie, and then in the third movie. But that was a reoccurring gag because of the first movie. They had Weird Al, and they had all these other people. Like, the longer the Naked Gun movies went on, I think by the third one, it feels that way because they're at the Oscars. But it feels like it's a little bit of a narrative cheat because they're at the Oscars. But yeah, I was just glad that there's like only a handful of cameos in this movie, like Cody Rhodes or Priscilla Presley or Dave Bautista. But it's not just like every 2 seconds it's someone famous that just, I really love Naked Gun and I wanted to be part of it. Like, nobody cares. Like,
oh, Cody Rhodes passed me by because I have no idea who that guy is.
Which is honestly fine. Like, that's kind of the way a cameo should work.
Just the bartender who got his face smashed in.
I thought at first he was Casper Dien.
Casper Van Dien.
I knew I was saying it wrong. And I wanted more from that commentator who was, when we see him, he's like, my wife got all dressed up tonight. She knew I was going out. Why would she get so dressed up? I was really Oh, okay. Now I see Priscilla Presley. All right. And I thought that was actually Catherine O'Hara when I saw it yesterday, because it's got 2 seconds that she's on screen.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't even remember. I'm like, I know she's in there for a flash, but I don't know the context.
I also do find it amusing that the movie forces Liam Neeson at one point to be non-lethal, because I'm not sure he ever kills anybody in this movie. They hint at him killing people, because they do that whole like, you locked up an entire McDonald's because they wouldn't serve you freedom fries, but he didn't kill those people. In Naked Gun, Frank Drebin kills a couple people, not intentionally. Like the guy who falls into the hot dog vat, like he swings at him and he misses. Ricardo Montalban kind of kills himself. But there is that scene in Naked Gun where they're like, when I see 5 weirdos dressed in togas in a park stabbing a guy, I shoot the bastards. Like,
that was Shakespeare in the park.
They were great actors. Like, when they have a scene like that, like, it hints at the fact that this guy is like really inept. And we never get the sense in this movie that that's ever the case with Liam Neeson, which I think is a welcome change, because again, they have to traffic in the fact that this guy in every other movie he's in is actually an action star. And he's not just pretending to be one, which I think, again, for me, is one of the smartest bits of casting in the movie is just casting a guy who does actually do this, not casting against type, because nobody would believe Leslie Nielsen could actually do action-oriented scenes.
Yeah, I love the whole bit at the end with all of the clips that are coming everywhere. And the one kid who loses his tooth and the tooth goes into Frank's gun and then he shoots the tooth back into his mouth. That's where I'm like, this is really fucking clever. And there are some really good bits to this, even though I felt like the ending went on for a little too long, but it's just filled with a whole bunch of great bits. Fucking owl coming back. That's perfect. I love it. And to see that visual, to see the visual of him holding on to an owl being carried through the streets with the moon behind him, I was like, this reminds me of Kung Fury, which is to me one of the best movies ever made, period, end of sentence.
And I agree. Like, I think this movie really shines when it leans further into the absurd. I think it just was afraid of alienating the mainstream audience.
Yeah, I feel that way too.
And I don't think the movie alienated the mainstream audience. Like, I had friends texting me, asking me about this movie. If I was going to see it, and then once I saw it, what I thought of it, and I was like, this is fucking weird. Like, it's been a while since that happened. And normally, if it does happen, it's not with something like this, which is just like, again, like ostensibly a comedy. But I don't know, like there's a level of polish to this movie that does make it. We've talked a lot about the comedy of the movie, but the movie's rather well shot. There's a lot of interesting lighting. Like, there's a lot of blue and red. Like, it looks like it could be a John Wick movie.
Yeah, I think that's what they were striving for.
Yeah, and they nailed it, and I appreciate it because, like, again, in a post-John Wick universe where John Wick is one of the most popular, if not the most popular action movie out there, you could make a movie that's a John Wick send-up of its own right. And Naked Gun didn't have to do it, but if Naked Gun's going to exist in 2025, it's almost impossible to not address it.
I appreciated that it wasn't flat TV lighting.
No, there's some great looking stuff. The bank robbery looks like fucking from The Dark Knight Returns.
Playing with shadows, even in his office when she first shows up, it's a little noirish, and
the silhouette gag for the door.
Her taking the chair at the end.
The whole fight around the fountain when we've got Dave Bautista. That looks like $1 million. They really did do a great job shooting this. This does look like a real movie. It doesn't look so completely flat. I just keep going back to those fucking Friedberg and Seltzer things. You guys mentioned epic movie, and yeah, those movies looked like they were made for $5.
Well, and they were written for $5 too. That's the thing. Those movies don't have any production value to them in any substantive way. I think about epic movie or disaster movie or the later scary movies. I'm like, who was seeing these movies? The same people that are being expected to see these movies.
I was the one seeing those movies. Most of those in the theater, which is, I'm really ashamed.
I saw Smoking Aces and Epic Movie in a double feature one evening. Yeah, at the theater. Yeah, boy, talk about a fate worse than death.
I think I saw every scary movie except for 2, which I'm so glad because that one was the worst one for me in the theater.
Scary Movie 3 is a good one. Like, and I think that this movie, like, it looks more like a Scary Movie 3 than it does a Naked Gun 3. Like, this movie knows what came before it and chooses to embrace it, but also reject it. And that's what's important when you make a movie like this, is you have to be willing to do your own thing, but also people are going to expect certain things from you if you're making a Naked Gun movie.
Against my better judgment, we should probably watch Spy Hard sometime and talk about it, just because that's a tie to me between the ZAZ stuff and the Friedberg Seltzer stuff, because that's, I can't remember if it's Friedberg Sr. or Seltzer Sr. And that's also got Weird Al doing the title song, and it's got Leslie Nielsen as your main character. And it's like, what is this thing? It feels like it was say passing of the torch, because basically they took the torch and just pissed on it and put the fire out for all of those Friedberg and Seltzer movies. But it felt like, oh yeah, here, I'll set up my son and his asshole friend for success. One of these days I'd love to talk with those guys and just be like, what is your fucking problem?
What is your major malfunction? What about Wrongfully Accused?
Oh boy, I've never seen that one either.
Or 2001: A Space, whatever the travesty is. That one that?
Did I see that one? No, I saw The Creature Wasn't Nice. I get that one mixed up. The credits for this, we already mentioned the freeze frame gag at the end, but I was paying attention to the credits. There are gag credits in here, but it takes a lot to get to them. They are not peppered throughout as they used to be in some of these ZAZ movies. I didn't notice funny jokes until they got to the set dressers and they talked about this dressing, that dressing. Then they said salad dressing and they had French vinaigrette, Thousand Island, and something else. And I was like, okay, all right. There are a few things in here. They had at one point Netflix password, and they had a password in there, but it was just very small, very subtle. And if anything, I thought they should have done it a little bit more, and especially because I'm expecting it, but I'm also hoping like that people get to see Weird Al at the end.
I had to leave suddenly, so I missed everything after the very first credit. And I was curious if there was an end credit scene.
Yeah, there's the gag with the freeze frame. They do something else before the Weird Al other than the credits. I don't remember. Do you remember, Chris?
I don't think so.
Okay, so it's just occasional funny credits. And then we do the Weird Al bit at the very end. So yeah, it was me and one other dude stuck around in the theater to see that.
And you know what's really funny, to speak to the Pam Anderson of it all? Pam Anderson was in Superhero movie, which is insane because to even speak to a crazier trend here, Naked Gun has not been in our lives since the 90s, since the third one. So many movies, so many comedy trends have come and gone. Like Superhero movie, which is a movie that came out in 2008 that's a parody of superhero movies. In 2008. Before superhero movies ostensibly even came out in a lot of ways for a lot of people. It's interesting that Naked Gun is still allowed to be what it is in this day and age, post all these other things. I think it actually goes to show that Naked Gun, I think as a formula, still works rather well. If you give it the respect that it deserves and not just try to force topical gags is I think the issue with those like later Friedberg Seltzer movies is like, oh, here's Miles Fisher playing Tom Cruise. Yeah.
Remember this?
Member Bear
from 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, Tom Cruise jumping on the couch. Like, do we need to see this in a movie? Like,
I imagine somebody watching those movies today would be like, what the hell is this referring to?
I think we might be that way if we watch them. Like, if we were to sit down and watch those movies in reverse from the most recent one to the original one with something like Scary Movie, like, I guarantee you there will be references to shit we're just like, why? Like, one of those movies, I don't remember which one, I think it's Epic Movie, has a reference to Johnny Depp playing Willy Wonka.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's Crispin Glover in that role.
Who the fuck would remember that in this day and age? Like, oh, Johnny Depp played Willy Wonka? Like, yeah, he did. Okay, to what end?
Well, and they reference a lot of commercials that were popular at the time and stuff that you forget after a little while. It doesn't even take years to forget about.
The closest you get with that is like an Airplane when the woman's saying, oh, he never asked for a second cup of my coffee, but that's not bad. That's not a terrible thing that they had that.
I think we had to explain that bit to Chris because he's younger and we grew up seeing those commercials like nightly. They were pretty ubiquitous on TV. But yes, totally out of date now, or even 5 or 6 years later. But even when the first Airplane came out, they weren't expecting repeat viewings 30 years later on a thing called VHS or Laserdisc or DVD or anything like that. Not thinking of timeliness so much. When are people not going to get this anymore? Who cares? When are they going to watch this again?
We'll come back to the theater.
Speaking of Airplane, we should take this opportunity to mention, Mike, you're on the Airplane 2 Blu-ray re-release.
Yeah, very excited for that. I love that whole thing where I was so pissed off when I was talking to you guys. Just like, I'm going to have one of those fucking assholes on there doing that commentary. And then I reached out to Kino and I was like, I should be on this. I've talked.
I am that fucking
yes,
asshole.
Exactly.
Why would you get another fucking asshole if you could get this
asshole right here, baby? Yeah. Yeah. To go back to Pam Anderson. Yeah. I think she's fantastic in this. I really like that they don't make her up and just really try to make her. She's an age appropriate love interest to me. She might actually be too young for Liam Neeson, but I found her to be hilarious. Apparently she was up for the role that Anna Nicole Smith played in the last one. And now I'm like, well, yeah, show me that. I would like to have seen that version. Anna Nicole Smith, I thought, was fantastic in there because she could play dumb like nobody's business. But I really think that Pam Anderson, huge barbed wire fan over here, I think it says she's great. And super happy to see her doing full-fledged comedy.
The most surprising thing about this movie for me is how good she is. Not because I didn't think she would be good, but because I haven't seen her in enough things really to have an opinion about her. But if she can do this kind of comedy and can live in this space and doesn't take herself super serious, which would seem to me she doesn't, I love how good Pam Anderson is in this movie because I wasn't concerned about how good Liam Neeson was going to be. Priscilla Presley is as good as Liam Neeson is in those movies. Like, she is as funny as he is. There are a lot of moments in those movies that work because of the chemistry of the two of them. And I would say the same here. Like, Pam Anderson is as good as Liam Neeson is.
Now that makes me wonder how much she was in the whole Borat thing. And I'm just like, she had to have been completely on board for that.
I would assume so. I think so. I think, yeah.
Because I think she's got a good sense of humor about herself, too.
She's been in the public sphere for so long at this point.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to think back to when Baywatch first came on, and then she was even a Tool Time girl for
I would say
Tim
she was
Allen.
on Home Improvement. Yeah, that was her original gig.
And that was a long time ago. I know because I'm that old.
Good on her as well for saying, I'm not going to do makeup anymore. Like, good on her. That's a big deal in this industry. And like, good on her, good for her, like, fuck them.
And there's that whole thing about the breast implants too, where she's like, yeah, I really shouldn't have gotten these. I'm like, okay, it's your fucking body. Do what you want to do.
I'm hopeful for the future of Naked Gun. I actually want there to be more Naked Gun movies. I want to be able to buy a popcorn bucket for this movie that's not $80 because I wasn't able to get it in the fucking theaters because I
didn't get the big brown beaver.
I want the big brown beaver. I want Winona's big brown beaver even.
That has nothing to do with sex. That's just about a beaver.
Little Les Claypool slap in the bass and we're good. It has nothing to do with sex.
It's a beautiful beaver. What can you say?
Overall, I would highly recommend this to people to check out. Don't expect exactly the same as the Naked Gun series, but expect something else that's pretty darn funny. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up. Mark Begley, where can people find more of your fun stuff? And only the fun stuff, none of the boring stuff.
Only the fun stuff. Oh, God. No, you can find my two shows, Wake Up Heavy and Cambridge and with Sean, over at weirdingwaymedia.com. How about you, Chris Stashu?
You can find all the stuff that I work on at weirdingwaymedia.com, which is named for Dune. David Lynch's Dune more specifically. Rest in peace, David Lynch. It's a weird thing that happened since the last time. A lot of things have happened since the last time we recorded this show. Yeah, that's where you can find everything that I work on, including the original run of this show, which we talked about the entire original Police Squad TV show. We talked about Airplane as well, did we not? Like, we did a lot of
Naked
stuff.
Gun films. That prompted us to do... I always forget the title of the one with Val Kilmer.
Top Secret.
Top Secret.
Did that as a crossover with the Projection Booth, yeah. And then I would highly recommend that people check out our Airplane 2 episode as well, which was a lot of fun.
And technically, if you're looking for something that has the three of us, that continues the three of us talking about comedies, or quote-unquote comedies, the Chasing Chevy Chase podcast, where we talk about Chevy Chase movies once a month. And we're almost at the end of that show at this point now, which is crazy in and of itself. So that's where you can find me and all the things that I work on with these two. So what about you, Mike?
Yeah, same thing. weirdandwaymedia.com, where you can find everything we do. The last one of these Police Squad in color episodes came out March 15th, 2023. So
I hate that.
it feels like a lot longer, doesn't it? That's only
yes,
2.5
specifically
years
for
ago.
me, it does.
2.5 years, though.
Yeah.
But that, I was thinking, okay, man.
No, I know we didn't record anything in 24 for this because we had talked about it like offline. We're like, oh, we'll do something when Naked Gun finally comes out. But that was like us just kicking the can in 24.
But we knew back then that it was coming, and it was with Liam Neeson. That was one of the main rumors.
Towards the end of the show, yeah, I listened to a couple of the episodes that we did. Towards the end of the show, we start talking about the fact that like it had been confirmed. They confirmed it while we were literally doing the show. It's kind of like with what's going on with Rankin on Bond, which you can find at mine and Mike's Patreon. And they've like started announcing things for the next James Bond while we're doing the show. Like they were announcing Naked Gun stuff because we started recording that show in like 21. And it's been even longer since we started that show. We started that show in like 21.
22 December. You're talking about Rankin on Bond or Police Squad?
Police Squad.
We got through it fast, though, because we recorded weekly on that. And we recorded 3 episodes of the show each time.
But it came out, our show ended in 23, is what you said, Mike?
Yeah, and it started December 17, 2022. We only did 9 episodes of it. It feels like we did so much for it. I think it was because we were reading the scripts, we were listening to the commentaries, all that stuff. So it was trying to do a lot of research in a short amount of time.
So what you're saying is the show needs a reboot?
Yeah, sure. Why not? But that was a lot of fun to do. And I'm glad that we're coming back and doing this. I can't say final episode because hopefully we'll come back when the sequel comes out.
There might be sequels. Yeah.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
It's all based on money, boys. So if it does well, they'll make more.
Are you a film fan who loves the ultimate home video experience? Look no further than The Disconnected. Your host, Ryan Verrill, is your go-to source for the latest and most accurate information on home video releases, exclusive interviews with industry insiders and filmmakers, and has established a thriving community where every film and physical media enthusiast feels welcome. From hidden gems to blockbuster hits, The Disconnected brings you insider knowledge and a welcoming space to share your love of cinema. Watch every Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific for the live announcements show and follow The Disconnected on social media to stay updated. Subscribe to The Disconnected on YouTube or on the podcast provider of your choice and dive into a world where every movie night is an adventure.